Peace and blessings, light and love. It's your girl Ray Queen, and today we are talking about numbers. Now, for those of you who know me, know I am spirit led, and when certain themes or concepts or questions keep reoccurring in my life, I know that it's time for me to do something about it. And so, I've been getting so many inquiries lately about reoccurring numbers, right? Aside from the shift that we're making in our society and humanity and spiritually because of COVID, um, there might be some reasons. There are definitely some reasons that you are seeing certain numbers. So if you are seeing certain numbers, we're going to talk about that today. So, have you been seeing the same number constantly? And it's more than just seeing the numbers. You're seeing the numbers, but you know that there is a meaning or reason for it. You are absolutely right. So, I will break down what these numbers mean from a Black metaphysical perspective and how our ancestors, dating all the way back to the signs of Kemet, Nubia, and other ancient parts of Africa, um, interpret these meanings, what our ancestors want us to take from them presenting these signs to us. So our ancestors will bug the hell out of you with messages in the form of numbers. So it is important that you know what these numbers mean. And that's why you keep seeing them over and over again, because one of your ancestors or several of your ancestors, whether it's an ancestor you know or not, is trying to send a message to you. And that's why you keep seeing it. These numbers will show up in repetitive form and not as single numbers, right? So if you see a one, you'll see a one, a one one, one one one, one 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 one. You got it. Or two two, two two two, three three, three three three. It's never just the one number. Although if you're seeing a bunch of ones all the time, and then you see a one here and a one there, you can accept that as a message from one of the ancestors. Okay. So you might be seeing these repetitive numbers show up on the clock. Every time you look at the clock, it says 11:22. Every maybe addresses you've been looking for lately, or a receipt. When you go to the grocery store, the receipt ends up being $22.22, or a bill when you go out to eat is exactly $44.44. Those kinds of things, or $44.33. Right there, it has to be at least in twos. So, what we're going to do first is talk about what these numbers mean and what's the message. And then we will talk about later on what you do when you see these numbers. So, let's talk about the number one first, right? So if you see one, 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 etc., it is an indication that the energy around is eager for action. And it is a sign to look for opportunities and to take certain action steps, right? You're supposed to do something, you're supposed to take action. What type of action steps are you supposed to take? We will talk more about that later. But there's some other people watching this video who want to get to their number. So if you're seeing the number two repetitively, it represents newness. It is time for something new, and it's time to do things that prepare you for newness. We will talk more about how to lay this groundwork for newness later on again, because people are trying to get to their numbers. But I do want to mention that twos can also be a confirmation from the ancestors that you're headed in the right direction. Okay. Three. Threes is an acknowledgement from the ancestors that they've heard your desires, they've heard your prayers, and they have your back as you begin to move forward. How are you supposed to move forward? Again, we'll get into that later on. Four is, or repetitive fours, is the ancestors' way of comforting you. You're probably going through a difficult situation, and the ancestors want you to know that you're not alone, but it could also mean to not forget to be grateful when things are when good things are happening. So it could mean two things. You're going through a tough situation and the ancestors want you to know that you're not alone. They're comforting you. They got your back. It's going to be okay. Or everything might be going really, really good for you right now. Really, really great. But you're not showing gratitude, right? You're not receiving those blessings from a good place. And so the ancestors are reminding you to do that. How do you show more gratitude that pleases the ancestors? We'll talk about that more as well. 5 means major transition, or a transition that comes with a lot of changes. So maybe you've gotten a new job that requires you to move all the way across the country where you have no friends or family, right? Maybe it's a relationship. Um, it could be a number of things, but whatever transition you're going through, and no matter how unappealing or undesirable the transitions are, fives, right? Seeing repetitive fives is our ancestors' way of reminding us that the transition is necessary. And not only is it necessary, but it's ultimately for your own good. If you're seeing repetitive sixes, that means you are probably worried about something. Something is out of balance. It might be your career, money, relationships, your health, your eating habits, whatever. Repetitive sixes is our ancestors telling you to restore balance by getting rid of things that no longer serve you. Stop being excessive or being restrictive, right? That's our ancestors telling you that. So how do we please the ancestors in that way? We'll talk more about that as well. Repetitive sevens is a spiritual number that encourages us or reminds us to keep on doing what we're doing on our spiritual growth journey. Your focus should not be on money or love or work or anything other than your spiritual growth right now. This is the season for spirituality for you, because all other things in your life that you want to manifest will happen as a result of a good spiritual groundedness. If you want to know more about what that looks like and what to do with that, we'll talk about that later on. 8 is the number of abundance, right? So if you see repetitive eights, it's a number sequence that represents abundance, and it is a sign from our ancestors that abundance is yours, and to stay open to abundance in whatever form it appears. Maybe you are not recognizing abundance because you want it to come in the form of money, but abundance might come in the form of, you don't have to pay rent this month for whatever reason, or you got blessed with food that you didn't have to pay for. Abundance comes in a variety of packages. So stay open to whatever form it appears. It is also a reminder that abundance will always return, and return more abundantly. So stop hoarding. You might be, if you're seeing these numbers, the number 8 repetitively, you might be hoarding something. You might be holding on to something because you're so afraid that you won't get any more of it. Whatever it is, you need to release it, let it go, spend it, use it, whatever, because abundance is yours. And that's what the number 8 sequence is trying to remind you of. And then the number 9 is a reminder that all things come to an end. A chapter in your life is coming to an end, and you might need to consider what's next. It might also mean that you're holding on to something that you need to release, like you need to initiate this completion. It's time to move on. So, if you want more insight into what it could be or how to deal with it, again, we'll talk about that in just a moment. And then we have the master numbers. There are master numbers 11, 22, and 33. These are what we call master numbers. When you see them in that form, just 2 1s, 2 2s, or 2 3s, and they have a spiritual significance. They represent profound energies of envisioning, building, and sharing. And the master numbers indicate incredible potential. So if you're seeing just like 11.22 or $11 even, like, or $22 even, or whatever, you get just the two numbers by themselves repetitively, that carries a special kind of significance that we will talk about as well. So if you want to know more about what to do, so now we know what these numbers mean and what the ancestors are trying to communicate to us. Now, what do we do? What do we do with it? What are we supposed to do with the information that we now have? You can find that out at the School of Black Metaphysics.learnworlds.com, where each individual number is broken down and we go more into depth with what to do. What are you supposed to do with this information? All right. Thanks for visiting. Don't forget to go check out the website, School of Black Metaphysics at learnworlds.com. learnworlds.com. And until next time, peace, blessings, light, and love. And remember that laughter should be the only thing that hurts.